We're walking in the woods today, my friends, and it's a really, really glorious day. I would say the most glorious day of the year so far. These are Bankwoods North, and I'm heading along at the very top of the valley after having just gone to buy my supply of raw milk in Hassop, which is a beautiful little hamlet on the outskirts of the famous market town of Bakewell. I do lots of walks around and I see many things, and I was out on my walk a couple of days ago and there was a husband and wife walking along with each other, and they were approaching a spot where the path narrowed and they were going to bypass it, and I think the lady was curious about something. She sort of paused and she had a water bottle in her hand, and she held it out. She held it out for a prolonged period, waiting for her husband to pick it up and take it, to temporarily hold it for her. And he refused. He didn't bother, and she had a little bit of a shrug, a sigh shrug. And I thought, well done him. I was actually really pleased, because what we expect out of life and how entitled we feel can have a dramatic difference on the quality of our lives. And last night I had a really, really vivid dream, kind of crazy dream in a way, but it made sense to me when I woke up. And in this dream I was making tomato soup. It was a really vivid kind of blood red soup that I was making. But what was interesting, it was almost complete, but for some reason in the dream I was using the hob on top of the oven, and I had the pan that I was making the soup in balanced on some kind of platform, but the hob underneath it was uneven, so it was moving about all over the place, and the soup was spilling over the side. And all this while that this was happening, my family were in the background, blissfully unaware, just completely ignoring what was going on. And I was getting increasingly more and more vexed at the situation. It was kind of almost like a comedy sketch. And eventually, rather than throwing the pot of soup, a plate materialized in the scene, as feels normal in dreams, but in the real world it's like, where's this plate come from? What's this all about? And I threw this plate at the wall and it smashed. Very dramatic. And I'm thinking, I've got this fabulous imagination that I'm having these incredible dreams. And I woke up and just thought, God, what was that all about? And obviously it occurred to me that I've experienced a lot of things in my life, a lot of traumas, and I don't want violins, but a lot of my needs and frustrations have gone largely ignored and completely ignored by certain people. And I realised that the pinnacle of this was my relationship with, and I call it a relationship, but my interaction with my ex. And the reason that I brought up the story with this lady walking along with the water bottle and expecting her husband just to take it, and he didn't, I felt empowered on his behalf. There we go. I've been at this point several times and I never quite remember where the latch is. And there we go. And I thought, well, what do we expect to happen? This woman was completely waiting for her husband to take the water bottle, and he didn't. But if you expect that you just leave all of your past traumas and psychological stumbling blocks ignored, if you just ignore them, well, what do you expect to actually happen? Do you expect to live a peaceful life where you have direction and determination, to move forward. Well, no, of course not. It's impossible. These unquestioned, unexamined beliefs, psychological states rule you. They determine the quality of your life, and they're always going to blow up in your face. And I was reflecting in my video for my other channels and thinking, well, what happens? You've got men who work their whole lives, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it is, and they retire. Well, if you look at what happens to a lot of them, well, once they've been so distracted by the work that they feel that they have to do, once that vanishes, well, what do they lose? Well, they lose a sense of purpose and they lose meaning to their life. And often what happens, as maudlin and as morbid as it sounds, well, a lot of them die very suddenly, within, it's usually about a year to 18 months, and gone, just gone from the face of the planet, because all of the other emotional stumbling blocks suddenly catch up to them, and they're having massive heart attacks, and they're dropping dead. We see it a lot. And as you know, I like to profess that I am a very spiritual, uplifted person, but I also look at the harsh realities of life and record everything that I do, because I want you to have the fullest and most happy life that you can possibly have. And we're going to have a look over the valley, and we can see just there. Oh, there we go. Chatsworth. You can see it just there. Wow. Happy. Very, very happy. And it's why I share all of these beautiful surroundings with you, to remind you that there's a world outside of your unresolved trauma that's waiting to be lived, waiting to be experienced, waiting to be appreciated by you as you move through it. And I want to be able, over time, to provide you with fantastic tools. And it's why I feel incredibly blessed to have the therapist that I have, because he asks me really honest questions, and he does so in a very straightforward and simple way. And when I woke up from the dream this morning, even though it wasn't necessarily a happy dream, well, it had a very liberating message. And obviously, as I'm going through the process of sorting myself out, well, everything that I've been ignoring has presented itself in various ways. It's enormously useful. It's enormously releasing, because it's only when you actually start to face the problems and the hang-ups that you have, that's the only way that you can actually be free. And most people are living out of obligation or assumption that just because their life is a particular way, that's the only way that it can be. Well, obviously, we know that that isn't true. And I was talking yesterday in my video about, well, what's history? And I came to one conclusion, that it's, it's people getting angry and lashing out. But you could look at it in a different way, and I certainly am, that addressing the anger that you feel, the rage that you have, and the rage, believe me, was exemplified by the dream that I had last night, that this stuff does go deep, and it goes far back in my history. But facing the anger head on and thinking, well, why was I angry? How can I deal with this now? Well, that's a powerful position to be in. It's why I'm offering the services that I am, because I know what it feels like to overcome these struggles and heartaches, and just want as many people to experience it as possible, including you, good people watching this. So don't hide from any of this stuff. Just the first step is absolutely just admitting, right, this is how I feel, and I've been avoiding this for a long time, and I'm just going to be honest with myself without beating myself up as much as you can possibly do that. And from there, starting to think, well, who am I protecting with my anger? Who am I making excuses on behalf of? What am I hiding from? You know, all of the ridicule you might have felt, or being called silly or naive, or all the things that I've been called and more. Do not let them be the master of you. Do not be a slave to those emotions. Overcome them and experience the true power that you have to be a happy, healthy and prosperous human being. It's why we are all here. But you need to remind yourself, and as I was talking about a few days ago, you need to notice. That's the first step. So I encourage you to do that. And should you feel that you might benefit, just benefit even a little bit from some emotional support, well, that is why I'm here. And it's why you can click through on any link below to ask for that. You deserve it.